President, please be seated. The court is now back in session. We hand the floor to Khieu Samphan's defense to put question to Ong Thong Heung. You may proceed.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honours, and to all parties. And good afternoon, Mr. Ong Thong Heung. I am an international counsel for Mr. Khieu Samphan. Let me also inform you that my questions will not be very long. My questions will be aimed at obtaining some clarifications on your prior statements and also on some passages of your book, I believed in the Khmer Rouge. First point, at the hearing of the 7th of August, you stated that it was the first time in this courtroom that you were seeing Mr. Khieu Samphan face to face. Do you confirm that?
While I was young, I saw him once. He was in a Citroën car with Hu Jun near Wat Lam Ka. I saw him from a distance. At that time, I was still a young boy. And of course, it's the first time that I have the honor to see him in this courtroom.
Okay.
Very well. To be very clear, as far as the records are concerned, are we in agreement in saying that you yourself and your wife had never seen Khieu Samphan at Beng Trabek?
Let me repeat that my wife and I never saw Khieu Samphan personally at Bang Trabek.
Monsieur le Président, avec votre autorisation.
Mr. President, with your leave, may I request that the witness be shown the transcript of his statement E3/99, and would you therefore request the greffier to show the French version? On the page that interests me is page 12. In French, the ERN is as follows: 00241889. And in Khmer, and may I request that that part be shown on the screen for the public, 00270701. And in English, the ERN is 00287109. May I request that the greffier show the witness the French version of his statement, which is the original.
Yes, you may proceed. Court officer, could you deliver the hard copy for the witness examination? and have the Khmer version display on the screen as well.
Alors, Monsieur le témoin.
Now, witness, in order for me to properly explain how I intend to proceed, I will read out to you two extracts of that statement, page 12 of the French, and then I'll put questions to you on that. This document, E397, is a statement of the 22nd of November 2008, which you gave the OCIJ investigators. So I will read the first part out to you. It is underlined in your copy. And the question that is of interest to me is the last but one question put to you by the investigator and the first part of your answer. This is what the investigator said. I would like to show you a document written in French. It is numbered 0014-2162 in the court records. Can you tell us if you recognize the statement? It bears your name. And in answer to that question, you said the following: I have never seen this document. This is the first time I have seen it. I have noted some errors, which I will point out to you. That is the first part I wanted to read out to you to refresh your memory. Now let me read out the second part to you. It is still on the same page in French, but in Khmer, the ERN is as follows: 00270702. And what is relevant to me is the second part of your answer, in which you state, let me point out that I challenge this document, which has neither been read out to me, nor have I signed it. It only reflects what I said partially. Now, this is my question to you, witness, with regard to that part of the statement. It happens that during your meeting with the OCIJ investigators, you challenged the contents of a document that was shown to you. My first question to you is as follows: who did you grant the interview which led to that statement which has been read out to you?
I did not have any discussion with anyone. When I saw that document, I read it and I refused the content of that document because that's not what I said.
Alors, Monsieur le témoin.
Well, witness, I would like you to be more specific in your answer. You said that you did not have any discussion with anybody whatsoever. Now, prior to that interview with members of the Office of Co-Investigating Judges, did you meet other persons with regard to the matter that is before us today?
Could the counsel verify your question again? Whether I recall that I met with the representatives of the Co-Investigating Judge's office. I actually met them once around 2007. And the document that I have here, I can consider it as the base document for me to refer to or reference.
Pour que vous soyez parfait.
To reassure you perfectly, witness, I would like to show you the first statement which you challenged. I am trying to proceed one step at a time, slowly, in order that the records may be clear. You stated that you had an interview with members of the Office of Co-Investigating Judges sometime in 2007. Do you remember where that interview took place?
I cannot recall it clearly. However, as I recall, the location was somewhere near the vicinity of the Independent Monument.
Est-ce que
Was that interview conducted in an office, at an official venue, or somewhere else?
As I recall, it was conducted in the court's office.
est-ce que
On the day of that interview, did the persons who interviewed you inform you that a written statement would be produced at the end of that interview, which would be presented before the chambers?
Yes, I was informed.
est-ce que à la suite de
At the end of that interview, those persons from the Office of Co-Investigating Judges called you to read out to you your statement in order to enable you to make any corrections you may have had.
I want to refer to this document. I read it and yes, I signed it.
Excusez-moi, monsieur le témoin.
Excuse me, witness, I believe that the error was committed by me. I should have proceeded in another manner. May I request you to set aside the statement you have before you. I've already read it out to you and talked about what was of interest to me, so set it aside. My question now has to do with an interview with members of the Office of Co-Prosecutors. Prior to the interview you had with the OCIJ investigators, I don't know whether you can make the distinction. You granted an interview in 2008, and the statement from that interview is what you have before you. You said that a first interview took place in 2007. The questions I'm putting to you have to do with that first interview you granted in 2007. Am I making myself well understood?
The document in my hand dates 2008. I must inform you again that I will use this 2008 interview as the base for my reference and testimony.
J'entends bien, monsieur le témoin.
I very well understand, witness, but the specific question I'm putting to you is as follows. Before the interview that gave rise to the statement you have before you, did you have another interview with other persons prior to 2008? That is my question to you.
I am not sure, but maybe I made another group, but I am uncertain of that. For that reason, I will use this interview as my reference. And when I met with the court representative, I informed them that I will use this 2008 interview as my reference during my testimony.
J'ai bien compris, monsieur le témoin.
I have properly understood, witness. My question is not with a view to knowing which document you will use for reference purposes. My question is as follows. Before the interview which gave rise to E3/97, did you have any other interview with other persons before that interview whose statement you have before you?
I am not sure if I did, because every time I returned to Cambodia, people came to meet me. But in a judicial sense, that was the first time that I gave a proper interview in 2008. And as I said, every time I came to Cambodia, people wanted to meet me.
Tout à l'heure, en répondant...
A while ago, in your answer to one of my questions, you made mention of a meeting with some people in 2007. Do you recall that meeting?
I could say I met someone, but I am not certain of under what condition I met that person. Regardless of the circumstance in that area, in that year, when I provided an interview in 2008, I was shown that document.
Monsieur le Président, pour...
Mr. President, to refresh the witness's memory, may I request that Annex 1 to this statement be shown to him, and I will give you the ERN immediately. The ERN in French is as follows: 001 42 162. A translation of this document also exists in English, and the ERN for that document is as follows: 0023 9987. And in Khmer, may I also request your leave, Mr. President, to have this document put on the screen. The ERN is 00178330. May I request the greffier to give the French original of this document to the witness?
Court officer, could you deliver the hard copy from the counsel for the witness examination?
Pendant que vous consultez le document,
While you are glancing through the document, witness, may I ask you to tell us whether the document you have before you is indeed the document that was shown to you during your interview with OCIJ investigators? That is the document with regard to which you said you challenged the contents. The document whose contents you challenged.
Yes, I challenge that the document. First, at D2, I never said a colleague of mine requested to return to go to the cooperative, and he did not, or he was not allowed to. But in the content of that document, it reads that he was sent to the hospital or to the cooperative and died. But in fact, he is still living today. And for that reason, I challenge the content of that document.
il y a un point particulier sur lequel
There is one particular point which I would like to raise with regard to that document, and it is a passage I have underlined, and it reads as follows. Free translation. Ieng Sari and Kyo Sampan came to Bang Trabek to chair political meetings. I personally saw Ieng Sari when he came around October 1978. My wife saw Kyo Sampan there. Are we agreed, witness, that this part of the statement does not tally with what you stated?
This document is really not so clear when it comes to its content. And actually, my wife made a kiss and pawn when she first arrived in the country while she was at K-15. It's so confusing. And it read that I met Ieng Sari in October 1978. I really do not understand the content of this document, and for that reason, in 2008, when I met the judicial representative of this court, I challenged the content of this document.
Et précisément, Monsieur le témoin,
And precisely, witness, and I hope my questions to you would be more clearer. The interview which led to the production of the statement whose contents you challenge, do you know to whom you granted that interview?
I cannot recall it clearly. That's why I was wondering about its content and why it is stated so. It is not based on the fact. And for that, in 2008, I challenged the content.
vous dites ne pas avoir de souvenir.
You have stated that you do not quite remember that first interview. That notwithstanding, do you know with whom you spoke on that day? And did the persons in question at least meet you?
I cannot recall who Monique Sokon is. However, as to Hein Ham Kane, I know this person because he is a person returning from overseas as well. And to me, I am perplexed because he should be aware of the same facts that I knew. And how come he said that the person was sent from the true to the cooperative and later killed? Because that's not true. That's why I do not understand the content of this document.
Et est-ce qu'il est donc juste de dire
Is it therefore correct to say that you never had an opportunity to make any corrections before your interview with the Office of Co-Investigating Judges this time around?
Could you please repeat your question, Counsel?
tout à l'heure?
A while ago, I read out to you a passage of your statement following your interview with co-investigating judges. You challenged the contents of that document. I want to be sure that before obtaining that document from the co-investigating judges, you had never received it before, and you had never had the opportunity to make any corrections on the document.
Yes, I cannot recall if I was shown this document or how it was obtained, because it is contradicting to what I said.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le témoin.
Thank you, witness, for the clarifications you have made on this point. To be specific with regard to the meeting which you mentioned in your testimony before this chamber, and you reiterated it a few minutes ago, your wife saw Mr. Kyo Sampan, but that was at K15. Is that indeed your testimony?
But
Yes, my wife saw Kyo Sampon when she first arrived in Cambodia. That was in early 1976.
And if I understood you, what you said before the chamber, back then you had not yet returned to Cambodia. Is that so?
Yes, that is correct.
I am done with this aspect with the statement from 2007 and 2008, and for the purposes of the record, I wish to specify to the chamber that the errors noted in this Annex 1 of the 2007 statement, and you can find on the case file the transcripts of this interview under D141/1.3. Witness, I wish now to return to certain excerpts of your book titled J'ai cru au Khmer Rouge, I believed in the Khmer Rouge, in order to gather some clarification, if that is possible. First of all, I have a few preliminary questions. if I understood the methodology that you used properly in order to write this book, you first took notes, or used notes from your wife, corrects the interpreter, and then you took personal notes, and you also conducted a bit of research. Is that so? Is this how you proceeded?
Yes, that is correct.
En ce qui concerne
Now, regarding the research that you conducted, did you research works from other authors? Or did you interview certain witnesses from the period? So basically speaking, what were your sources?
The sources on which I relied were the documents I have read, and I noted those who were arrested and imprisoned at S21. And another source was based on what I have read from the testimony of the survivors of the regime. So these were the two main sources on which I relied in writing my book.
Thank you for this clarification. Now I wish to look more specifically at specific segments from your book. And with the President's leave, I wish to provide to the witness a copy. Of course, I didn't copy the whole book, but I only copied the segments I wish to use. And the first segment I wish to put before the witness from this book, whose general index is D141/1.2. And the first segment that I wish to use in the French version is on page 20 and page 21. Page 20, first of all, ERN 00, French ERN, that is to say, 00287899. Khmer ERN 00831078. And unfortunately, I do not have any English ERN because a priori there is no translation of this passage. So with the President's leave, I wish to display the Khmer version, the Khmer page of this segment. And may I request the court officer to provide the French excerpt to the witness, the paper copy of the French excerpt.
You may proceed. Court officer, please obtain the document from the counsel and present it to the witness.
Witness, I believe that you have the French version before you, so the excerpt I'd like to look at is at the end of page 20 and continues on to page 21 and reads as follows. In 1956, Que Sampan succeeded Ieng Sary at the head of the Marx, Lenin and the Khmer Students' Union, and one of his companions speaks about Khieu Samphan as an active militant who was disciplined and with passion, but deprived of personality. He was a follower for whom the hierarchy was always right. Witness, I would like to know regarding this excerpt where you got your sources from.
I obtained the sources from those who had been the Khieu Samphan associates who were in the Leninist and Marxist circle when he was in France.
Can you mention names, witness? Can you specify who are the people you spoke to get this information?
I did not consult with anyone. I obtained information from one or two of them. I used to live together with them, so I obtained that information from them.
I understood, witness, thank you. But what I wanted to know was who provided you with this information. Do you remember the names of these people?
I cannot recall their names.
And these interviews that led you to get this description of Khieu Samphan, do you remember when they took place?
It was sometime in 2002. Because this article was written at a later date. Because at that time, the printing house wanted the executive summary or brief summaries of the content. So I sent it to them, and before it was printed in 2003.
Well, speaking about publishing this work, your work was published in French in 2003. And as far as I understand, this work has also been translated into Khmer, and the Khmer copy, the Khmer edition, dates back to 2006. So my question is the following. Did you translate and revise the Khmer version, or did you organize the translation of the book, or is it someone else who ran the translation of your book?
I translated it myself into Khmer.
I'm sorry, I should have thought about this the first time, and I'm sorry, court officer. I would like to display or to provide the witness with the Khmer version of the excerpts I would like to use, because as far as I understand from the Khmer members of my team, it seems that there is a discrepancy between both versions. So I'd like to sort this out. With your leave, Mr. President, can we provide the Khmer paper copy to the witness?
Yes, you may proceed. Court officer is instructed to obtain the hard copy document from the counsel and hand it over to the witness.
Donc,
so now, regarding the Khmer version, on page 00, or ERN 00831078, it appears to me that it is not Kyosompa who was mentioned, but Yengsari. Can you therefore tell the chamber if this is an error in the printing?
The President, witness, please hold on. The prosecutor, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's not an objection, but in the paragraph that Counsel Guisset read, both names appear in French, so maybe the question could be reformulated in order to know exactly where she believes both names were switched. Thank you.
Monsieur le
Witness, I don't know if this, if you could please read out in, well, the passage that I'm focusing on, which I read to you in French, the last paragraph, and unfortunately, I cannot give you the Khmer version of this, but the text reads as follows. In 1956, Khieu Sampal succeeded Ieng Sary at the head of the Marxist-Leninist Circle and the KSU, and one of his companions speaks of Khieu Sampal as an active militant with passion and with discipline, but deprived of character.
My apology to the defense counsel. I have the Khmer version of the text with me, and the version I had in French was a bit different, and the Khmer version I have at hand here is the describes the event when I was at the factories. And as for the French version of the document that you gave it to me in French here, was my account, my brief account of the event concerning the Cambodian student living in France at that time.
Yes, I apologize, witness. It is my error. I provided you with the wrong page in Khmer, it seems. Court officer, I apologize, but could you please give him the right Khmer page so that the witness may have the correct reference?
Court officer, please obtain the hard copy document from the counsel and hand it over to the witness.
Normally, witness, the excerpt is highlighted on the copy before you.
Let me respond to this question. Actually, there was a typo error in Khmer because Ieng Sari was used instead of Khieu Samphan, but when I verified it with the French version, I found that it was a typo error.
Fine. This is very useful information because we're working in 3 languages, so it's important that all of us have the proper version. President, you should know that in the Khmer version there is an error in the segment that I have just quoted. Now, to finish with the way, discussing the way you wrote your book, was the first draft in Khmer or in French?
But it was in French, and the Khmer version was the translated one, and it was handwritten. And since I was not familiar with types writer, so I actually sent the handwritten document to the printing house in Cambodia for publication, and I consider it as a usual problems that might have happened due to the typing errors, and I consider this as a technical errors in printing and typing.
So we agree that the French version is the version we should stand by.
But yes, that is correct.
Je vous remercie.
Thank you for this clarification. Now, I would like to return to another segment from your book. And this is page 77 in French, French ERN 00287956. Khmer ERN 00831134. And unfortunately, there is no English ERN again. And the segment I wish to focus on is a conversation you relate having had with a so-named Vu Run. Please forgive me for the pronunciation. And basically, this is what he tells you. He is asking you, do you know who Secretary Pol Pot is? And the answer, no. And then he tells you it is Salot Sar, a genius. Even the Chinese say that he can be compared to Mao. So my first question regarding this excerpt is, can you tell the chamber who was Bun Run?
Bun Run was a former student from the East Germany, and he is deceased.
Now, regarding what he says about Pol Pot in this conversation, apparently he is fascinated by Pol Pot. So my question is the following. Did you have the opportunity to see other intellectuals be as fascinated by Pol Pot during that period?
I am not clear about that, but as far as I can recall, it was like what I just described earlier.
So maybe I will put my question to you again, because I did not quite understand your answer in French. I was asking you if you noticed that aside from Bun Rön, if you met other intellectuals who spoke about Pol Pot with the same degree of fascination, with the same interest in Pol Pot.
I have often heard from friends who had worked with other Cambodians other than the re-education camps that we stayed at that time about him.
And when you say that you heard friends speak with other people elsewhere than in the re-education camp, can you specify whether this happened between 75 or 79, or if it was after that?
I was referring to the period before 1979.
Thank you. On the following page, in French, so therefore ERN 00287957, Khmer ERN 008311. And I believe it's 34 or 35. I'm sorry, I don't have the right reference maybe, but it's either one, because the segment I am focusing on covers 2 pages. So you continue, and you continue with the description of your conversation with Bun Rön, and you ask him, and que son Paul, what does he do? And this is what Bun Rön answers you. You know, he's not even a member of the political office of the Communist Party of Kampuchea. He's only the 8th in rank in the party. Now, as far as Hu Yun and Hu Nim, it's not even worth speaking about them. They don't weigh that much in the organization. So my first question is, regarding this passage, is this exactly what Bun Rön told you when you spoke to him that day?
But yes, it was correct.
And is this a conversation that you noted among your notes that you used to write your book?
This was according to what I could recollect.
So if I understand well, this conversation, you did not note this conversation among your notes, is that correct?
That I am not clear. I am not clear, but I can still recall that event.
And did you save these notes that helped you write your book?
I have kept all the notes with me.
Et
Now, as far as Bunrun is concerned, who is speaking to you about the political office of the CPK, do you know where he got that information?
I dare not ask him. I met him at that time, and then we discussed with ourselves. And in that situation, as you may be well aware, that these kinds of business was supposed to be a secret, so the discussion was not made in open.
Well, since you are bringing up this issue of secrecy, on the same page in French you state, so with the same references therefore, that complying with the rules of secrecy, I just listened to him without trying to show too much curiosity. And for the purposes of the record, it seems to me that this passage does not appear in full in the Khmer version. So therefore, witness, you are bringing up here the rules of secrecy. So were these directions given to you when you arrived in Cambodia? And which directions, which rules are you speaking about precisely?
I would like to recall the principle of secrecy at that time, and these principles were of paramount importance to the Angkar. Upon our return to Cambodia during any political trainings as well as self-criticism and criticism, we were always reminded of the importance of keeping things in secret. For example, as a principle, if we met with anyone from outside, we must not reveal or disclose any information about ourselves. So that was the strict principle of secrecy.
je vous remercie.
Thank you. I would like us to now look at another passage in your book. In French, it is page 206, and the ERN is as follows: 00288085, and in Khmer, it is 00831240, and in English, and this time around there is an English version. The ERN is 00785869. May I request that the Khmer version be put on the screen for the public, and I will read the first part of the paragraph, page 206 of your book. Here again, you are talking about Pol Pot, and you say the following: this education tribune is a new broadcast of democratic Kampuchea, although it has never been specified that it is Pol Pot speaking in person. On the radio every day at 6 a.m., everyone knows it. And those who have met him confirm that. A week ago, some of us who have had technical education were chosen to attend a conference by the party secretary at Chaktomok Hall. The purpose of that meeting was to announce the opening of the Technical Institute. On that occasion, we were able to see him for the first time, and to listen to him speak for the first time. Some people were impressed by his character and his persuasiveness. Let me stop here for the time being. Did you have an opportunity to discuss any issues directly with those who attended Pol Pot's presentation? Perhaps I should have started by asking you another question. Did you yourself attend that presentation by Pol Pot?
No, my name was not amongst those who were selected to listen to Pol Pot's speech. However, my friends went and said that Khisampon came and he was amongst others, and he was not greeted like the dignitary, reserve a seat for him. So those coming from overseas were wondering, because he was a head of state, and how come nobody came to greet him? So those people, the participants of the meeting, was wondering, and that's how I expressed it in that passage.
Alors, pour être clair,
Now, to make sure I properly understood your answer, when you state that no armchair had been reserved for him, are you talking of Kyo Sampan?
But
Yes, I referred to Khisampon.
je poursuis.
Let me press on with the reading of this paragraph, and then you can complete your answer. We are still on the same page, and this is what you state. Obviously, Kyo Sampan, whose influence was very significant in his political commitments, was someone who was like some kind of puppet. Were these the statements of persons who attended that speech, or who listened to that speech when the Technical Institute was being inaugurated?
Yes, that was it.
Est-ce que vous vous souvenez de...
Do you remember the names of the persons who made those statements?
No, I cannot recall.
Mais vous vous souvenez
But you do recall hearing one or two persons make such an utterance, or having a conversation with one or two persons?
Yes, that is correct.
Et pour être plus précise,
And to be more specific, are you talking of one person or several persons?
At least there were 3 or 4 people.
Monsieur le témoin,
Witness, thank you for answering my questions. I have no further questions for you.
President, thank you. Mr. Ong Thong Heung, the hearing of your testimony has come to a conclusion. Therefore, you can return to your residence wherever you wish to go. The chamber is grateful for your long travel from Belgium and spent your valuable time to testify before this chamber during the last few days, and that you tried your best to contribute to ascertaining the truth in this case. We wish you all the best and bon voyage. Court officer, in coordination with the visual unit, please arrange for the return of the witness to his residence or wherever he wishes to go. The chamber would like to inform that we might hear the alternate witness between Ong Thong Heung and Song Si Kun. And we will have another 1 hour and 10 minutes before the recess of the afternoon session. For that reason, we will hear the witness Song Si Kun after we return from the break. For Song Si Kun, the floor will be given to the defense. And that would be for the Kirsampon's defense to conclude their questioning time. We will now take a recess for 20 minutes and we shall resume at 3 p.m. Court officer, when we return, could you invite Song Si Kun, the witness, into the courtroom?
Soom trên quảng trường.